Hi, welcome to class. We're the only two right now, but the other ones will show up eventually, right? I hate my life. I hate my life. A Professor Sunrise Productions! Hello class, Professor Sunrise here. In today's class, we're taking a look at Santiago's top 4 Dragon Link list of the Worlds format. I was in the making of the deck. I think Santiago is giving me way too much credit, to be fair. I don't think I did as nearly as much as he did, and I don't think I deserve all of the credit he's giving me, but it is what it is. So we're gonna take a look at the list. You can see the video is quite long. I originally planned the video to be a little shorter, like 20-ish minutes, but Santiago, just as I do, loves talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! And Dragon Link especially, and as all of you guys are really interested in my longer videos, I know it's not the TCG, so it's not as relevant. I think it is very, very interesting to see the thought process of the world's best when building a deck, because you can take all of these things and just adapt them to the TCG metagame if you so want to. So without further ado, don't forget to pass on the subscribe button, leave some feedback down in the comment section below, and let's get right into the video. Okay, here we are in the actual profile. Why don't you just introduce yourself, Santiago?
Okay, my name is Santiago Marin. I'm from Colombia. I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh since 2017, and yeah, I just got top four at Worlds, so I'm here talking about the best deck.
Dragon Link, definitely the best deck. Congratulations, by the way. So, how was the overall experience at Worlds? What were your matchups, by the way?
Okay, yeah, the overall experience was very good. It felt like a dream. The dueling experience was very good. I like every single game I had was down to the wire. I think my opponents were very good. They didn't misplay at all. So I think the dueling experience was amazing. Probably I was a bit excuse me, I just forgot the word. Like I was disappointed. That was the word. I was a
Okay.
bit disappointed about the day one venue because I don't know. I didn't felt like I was playing at worst, but the second they fix it up, and yeah. But overall, it was a really good experience. Like I hope everyone like once in their life gotta live something similar to that.
Yeah, that definitely. I can definitely see the disappointment. It seems a little off, like just a weird, random, like office building. It didn't really feel worldish. I can definitely see that. So, what were your matchups?
Yeah, round one, I played against a guy from the OCG. He was playing branded. Game two, round two, I play against another OCG guy. Oh, the round one I lost.
Oh,
Sadly, I lost.
again,
I
Brandon.
was
Okay.
already, yeah, I was disappointed because I should won that game. I should won against that matchup,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
it was out of my control because game three I breathed so hard.
Yeah,
I
okay, it
didn't have
happens.
any play. Yeah, and round two, I played against a guy from the OCG. He was playing mad match. I
Oh,
won that one 2-0. And round three, I played against a guy from Germany. I think his name is Buhu, and
oh yeah, yeah, I know him.
uh,
Like I've seen
he
him.
was playing. Yeah, he was playing Labyrinth. I won that one 2-0. Round four, I played against the North America champion, Jeremy Mitchell. He was playing Vanquish.
Oh
I
yeah.
won that one 2-1. Game two, he destroyed me with that can be only one, and game three,
Hmm.
I destroyed him with Eradicated and Ghosted.
Seems fair. Seems fair.
The game round five, I played against our world champion. I played against Paulie. It was mirror match. He won 2-0
Hmm.
against me. At that point, I was 3-2. So I didn't know that you had a chance to top with 4-3. So I had a lot of pressure because I had to win the last two games.
Hmm.
Um, in round six, I played again against my friend from Peru, the guy that took the second place in the overall event. He was playing Sorso, and I won 2-0 that one.
And you already
Um,
also played against him then in the quarterfinals, right? Not
in the
quarterfinals,
top four.
in top four. Yeah, in top four. Okay.
Yeah, and round seven, it was in stream. It was against Enzo from the US. He was playing Mad Match. I
Okay.
won that one 2-0.
Yeah. To be expected.
And yeah, but in that game, I don't know. I don't know if Enzo was saving information. I don't know. But if you see the stream, like he didn't make any single play because he was already in top 8 because he was 5-1.
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
if yeah. I don't know if he if my combo was too much for him or he just wanted to save information. But but yeah, if you see the stream, he didn't make any single play
So in
at
both
all.
game 1 and game 2.
Yeah, in any games, he just in game 1 he just ashed my Ravine, and in game 2 he just Baylor my Rom. But after all, he didn't make anything.
Okay, did you know what he played already before? Because like in 28 people, I think the likelihood that you know what everyone is up to is like so high.
Yeah, I already know. And
Okay.
in the stream, like the angles of the camera, you can see like he have like I think it was diameter in hand. So
So you
yeah,
had
I
some
don't know.
plays.
Yeah, he had some
I mean,
plays.
maybe
So
his
I
hand
don't
was
know.
so bad that it didn't even matter. Anyways, so going into the format, of course, the OCZ and TCG list being combined, it definitely changes things up a bit. Was Dragon Links immediately the very first thing you wanted to play, or were there other decks which you were into consideration for you?
Yeah, the first thing I realized when I combined the list, I realized that BCLs in main deck were going to be really good. So that was like the first thing I came up with. I wanted to play BCLs in main deck. At first, I felt like Dragon League was going to be weak with only one Magna and one
Mm-hmm.
Lugalia. So I tried some things like I tried Manedium with 6 BCLs in main, but I found that that deck was pretty bad without the new support because it's very normal summon reliant. Like I went to locals playing Manedium, and ironically I play against Dragon Link, and my opponent just sealed pass, like, and he bounced my normal summon, and I didn't have any play, so I was like, okay, I cannot play this. Um, After that, I've been a Dragon League enjoyer, and in my city, like here in Medellin, Colombia, we have a lot of Dragon League players that are
Mm-hmm.
my friends, and they were like, Santiago, you have to try it, give it a try, and like them and I start trying it, and oh, yeah, and people in my city was really hyped about me going to Worlds, so they helped me out doing tournaments with the world list.
Oh,
So
okay.
I start testing Dragon Link, and I just won like every single tournament they made. Like they did like 7 tournaments, and I won like 6 of them. So I was like, I mean, this deck is good. Like this deck is really really good, and it had the thing I wanted, that I could play the 6 BCLs in main deck. And I think Dragon Link is the best play to is the best deck to play BCLs in it, because they are not only hand traps, because they are also extenders. And after that testing, I realized Dragon Link was the best deck for the event,
Yeah, I
because
mean,
it matches. Yeah, excuse me.
no, sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, because it had a really good match, like pretty much against everything. At first I was a bit concerned about Rika, because Rika is not hit by bestials. So that's why I made some concessions in the main and side. But overall, I felt like I had a really good matchup pretty much against everything.
I mean, and yeah, your matchup showed, right? Like 2 Mathmax, 1 Branded, a Mirror also, and all of these decks, Bestials are actually alive. And even compared to the TCG where you have way fewer Bestials, like matchups where Bestials are really good, the deck still performs even in those matchups where it's not, like where the Bestials are not really great as a disruption, just because the engine is so strong. And I've seen some people even saying like Dragon Link is just at full power, it's just lacking like a few consistency tools. And I think that's correct, right? You still have like the power of Seal. You still have like Borderland, just like being a tower, which are like so many decks have a hard time outing. So I think the hits look way stronger than they actually are. And if you just like take a look at the format and just test with it a little bit, I think you can come to the conclusion that Dragon Link is actually just the best deck in that format.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think I don't know if people is going to agree with me, but I think if if Kashtira is hit and Dragon Link isn't, probably Dragon Link is going to be the best deck in the TCG. Because right now the thing that's holding back Dragon Link, I think, is Kashtira, because you had to make like odd deck choices just to play around Arisa.
Yeah, I mean, Purely is also a deck, but I feel like if you go second against Purely, you also have to see the out similar to a Rysat, but at least you can play with your engine and you can more easily like at least do something against the deck. So like they're in a similar vein, but I also think like Kashtira just floodgate you out even harder. And I think you can make the call that Dragon Link would be the best deck if Kashtira was worse or wasn't in the format at all. So I think I can see that. So let's take a look at your list. I think the very first few cards here, like Safer, 3 Black Metal, are all standard, especially if you have less Bestials. I like to cut the Black Metal and play more Rockets, but I think that's only doable with more Bestials. 3 Chaos was also standard. The very first thing which I see is that the Rocket engine is like down to the bare minimum. Can you like give me your reasons for that?
Yeah, the reasons for that, I had two main reasons. The first one is that I wanted to play as close as I could 40 cards, because I want to see my non-engine. I wanted to see like good overall hand, like engine and non-engine, and I made some calculations, and I found out that playing like 45 cards like is, I don't know, this might be controversial, but I found that if you play like 45, 46 cards, like I know the odds or drawing the bricks are lower, but they are not enough to justify playing the 45 build, because the odds go from like 40% to 37% to open one of the bricks. They being the bricks, the 2 field spells and the branded beasts that I ultimately didn't play. So that's why. That's the first reason. And the second one is that in testing, like, because I have a low number of bestials, I found out that pretty much like I was never going for caliber, because like you go for caliber like when you have like an extra bestial to make plays with Disparer and just to go for savage in that kind of lines. And I found myself just never going for caliber. I tried, but I never went for it. So I ultimately I end up cutting it, and I just don't need it in the whole tournament. Like only in the top 4, because I draw like a very weird hand in top 4 game 1. I draw 3 quick launch. Maybe it will have me out, but in general, I didn't miss it at all. So I was really happy with my Rocket engine.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like in the TCG with like 45 cards, you can definitely get away with that just because you have more bestials. But in a format where bestials are actually like a win con by themselves and are actually like non-engine pieces and engine pieces, I think that all makes sense. Like speaking about branded beast and you cutting it, I think because we built the deck a little bit together, like the caliber was also in the consideration, but ultimately you cut it. And branded beast, I thought we had it in the side deck, or like we had it for a while. What ultimately led you to the decision to completely cut it? Because like the winner, Paulie Aronson, I think is his name, did have both of them in the main deck. And I was also under the assumption that branded beast in the main deck was a bad idea with the few amounts of bestials. So what was your thought process of ultimately cutting it completely out of the deck?
Yeah, I tried, but my reasoning about cutting it is because I only have one love and one Magna Mode. So like a lot of times in the TCG, like a strong, like you can go for like Seal Beast and pass, and that's good because in the TCG you can just summon a Magna Mode from the deck with the Seal. But in testing, it happened to me that a lot of times I went through Magna Mode in turn 1, then I really needed regain to be able to play in turn 3. Otherwise, if my seal got ash or something like that, or I don't know, if I bring like safer with seal something and the safer got killed, I didn't have any kind of follow up if I go for the branded beast. So that was the first consideration, only having one Magnum and not being able to bring it consistently with the seals in turn 2. And the second reason is that like I was prioritizing like living through turn three and win with my follow up, and only having one love. I always like went for a game. Like every time I was play testing, I felt like I have to go for a game, and the value regain gave me was higher than the disruption of the of the branded beast. I was a little bit concerned about Labyrinth because uh, Labyrinth was at full power,
Mm.
and like we were expecting a lot of Labyrinth in Wars,
There was, I think it was the
and
most represented deck. I think there were 4
yeah,
Lab and 3 Bestial players, or like Dragonlink players.
yeah, it was, but like I don't know, like everyone had a lot of respect for that deck, and like if you, I don't know, I'm pretty sure like every list have three Ash and three Bell like in main or side.
Mm.
So I think like everyone was over prepared for that deck, and that's why that deck even didn't even get a top 8 player in the top.
Yeah, the curse of a trap deck. Let's take a look at Noctovision. Like a card which a lot of people are like completely cutting here in the TCG. I'm actually a huge fan of it. I'm currently not really seeing like the spot for it. How was Noctovision performing for you, and what was the reason of actually picking it up?
Okay, my reason, I had like two main reasons. The first one is like it is like an honorary bestial. It is just like an extra extender, just like the bestials are. And I don't know if you feel the same way, but like the way Konami make dragons, they have like something similar between them. Like all the dragons like replace themselves. Like
Mm.
Safer replace himself, Black Metal replace himself, Striker Dragon gets you a card, Romulus gets you a card, and Noctovision is like the same way. Like he just replace himself drawing a card. And I when I play a combo deck like Dragon Link, I like to play cards that draw you. I
Yeah.
love when the deck have draw power. And in this deck, I have three main ways to draw power. The first one being Regain, the second one being Chaos Space, and the third one being Noctovision. So I love just like playing combo decks with draw power because thanks to that I can draw my side deck cards. Like
Mm.
I was able to draw Ghost Match, the Virus, just because I got a lot of draw power. So that was my reason behind it. I wanted like a good extender to replace the missing bestials. Like we had another we were talking about another option. We talked about the Armageddon, the Chaos
Mm.
Armageddon
Yeah.
Dragon, but it needed more setup. Like the Noctovision was very easy to bring, and it was really good. Like maybe if I play Dragons in the TCG or the BCLs got hit, I will play Nocto because like being a free extender and a free draw is really good.
Yeah.
And the hidden effect also comes up. Like it came up
Did it come up
in
actually? The
draw.
protection, like
Yeah, it
to.
did.
Oh my god, that's so crazy. I remember the
Yeah, it
first
did.
time I played into that, I felt so bad. I didn't know this card had that effect.
Yeah, it felt so bad. Like
So.
I had a Ghost match set, and the guy in the draw phase just cosmic it,
Oh
and
no,
I just changed it
my
up.
god. Okay, that feels bad. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Like Noctovision being like the same condition of like having to get a basically having to get a like a dragon into the graveyard. So they die to the same things. It doesn't work with book, but it works with like through a pop or something. Basically, I mean, it doesn't, but like having a free dragon on board plus a draw is almost as good as having like a Magna Mode end phase search, in my opinion. So it makes sense to play it out like that. You talked about Chaos Emperor, and I was of the huge assumption, like not putting too much thoughts into the format, that you need to have a way to recycle a Magnum, be it like a Chaos Emperor dragon, or be it, I think, the Samsara dragon, the level 1, which can add back a dragon from the graveyard. Did you ever tinker with them, or did you just find out that the regained is enough to be able to recycle a Magnum effectively?
Yeah, I tried, and like I ultimately just cut it from the list because after play testing, I found out that like when I go for Seal or when I go for Magna Mode, like in the conditions we were playing or like the boards my opponent were making, I just I always found like better options to add. So I don't know. I ultimately just didn't play it. Maybe it was worth like more testing, but I felt like I never went for it.
Yeah, I mean,
It just felt like Caliber.
yeah, I mean, I can see the reason. Like, either you have full combo and you resolved your Magna Mode already, and then you can resolve it with regain in the next turn, or you probably bricked and then you can just get it out of the deck with a seal. So you will probably always have access to the Magna Mode, and maybe like here in the TCG, you can resolve Magna Mode for 3 to 5 turns in a row, but you can probably win those games even if you don't resolve the Magna Mode. So I can see that you don't really need it. Let's take a look at the non-engine. With 3 Ash, 3 Nib, 2 Ghost Spell, and 1 Phantasme. I thought it was crazy when you brought that card up to me. Like, how were these cards performing? Why exactly did you want to have those exact cards in your deck?
Okay, talking about Ash, I've always been Ash Blossom enjoyer,
Hmm.
and I don't know. I just felt like in the TCG, like people doesn't like to play Ash that much because Kashtira, but
Hmm.
I don't know. I always think like a good thrown Ash always is good.
Hmm.
So and in the words and in the words format, I felt like you had to play Ash because
Yeah.
it was really good against Rika because you can just Ash their Zumba and Sowing and
Hmm.
it got a good value there. It's really really good against Labyrinth, and they were like the two of the main decks we were expecting. And I think it's kind of weak against dragons, but
Yeah, fair,
if
fair.
yeah, but if you see, I just lost in the top four game one because they asked my Robin, so
Hmm.
it has his
It
merit.
can definitely work, yeah.
Yeah, then if was a concession for Rick and Dragon Link. It was really good actually because in round two I need the Mad Mesh player, and I also need the Sword Soul guy in round six.
Oh, yeah.
So when I draw it, it was really good. If I draw Neve in the top four, game three, I will also won. So I don't know. I think it was a good call, even though it was really bad against Labyrinth. And I felt like I had a good matchup against Labyrinth because I got the Ash, I got the Bestials, and I got the Bell.
Yeah.
So I didn't mind drawing Neve against Labyrinth. Uh, so that's why I play Neve.
Hmm.
And the last three spots, like one day before Worlds, and like people were saying like there were like 15 Labyrinth players, so like everyone was freaking out, and ultimately end up playing Gospel in the main. Sadly, I only play against one Labyrinth, but in that game I drew a bell, so it
Oh,
was
yeah.
worth.
I mean, even against Branded
Yeah,
and MathMech, the card is still fine. Against Strengths, it's also fine, I guess. So I can see it being good in the main deck. It's only really bad against Rika.
yeah, it's really bad against Rika because they can chain block when they're going
Yeah.
to get her from the deck, from their graveyard. Yeah, and at first I was playing three Gospel, but a friend of mine told me that I should play one Phantasme in the main. Like I know I was pretty sure I wanted to play Phantasme because Phantasme is really really good against Rika, against
Mm.
Dragon Link. Against Rika there is a spot you can draw four cards,
Yeah.
so I felt like it was really really good there. And against Dragon Link is overall good because it just fixes your hand and it gets a lot of pressure in the field. And I was playing them in the side deck, but like it being a dragon, make it like I can search it. So that's why I just end up playing one copy, just because I can search it through my combo with Safer or with Magna Mode in the entry.
Mm.
So if my opponent is playing Rika, I just search for it with my Magna Mode instead of searching for like a Druism or something. And if he somehow break my board with Ball Breaker or
Oh, yeah, then.
something, yeah, he start playing, I just can drop the Phantasmate, roll four, and go for my Knave or something like that.
Mm. Okay, that makes
So that
sense.
was the reason.
So let's take a look at the extra deck. It seems pretty standard. The only things which are like not so standard is like an Underworld Goddess. So what was the reason for playing that?
Yeah, there were two reasons for that. The first one is that in the DB Grinded tournament that they did with the World's List, they were guys playing purely. So I
Mm.
was a bit worried about the Noir because not having like in the North American World Championship qualifier, if you take a look at this at the stream,
Mm.
I think in round 12 there was a guy playing Dragon Link against Pac that was using purely, and if he had the goddess in the extra, he would have won
Mm.
that game. So purely was one reason. I think I thought that not a lot of people was going to pair purely because purely was
Yeah.
severely hit. But if you see, like one guy played, so I don't know. And the second reason for playing the goddess was the mirror match, because this deck ironically has a hard time out in Borderland and Chaos Angel.
Yeah,
So
especially with less bestials. Like the only way you usually out is like banish all the rockets out of the
rockets,
graveyard
yeah.
and then use seal to bounce it. But if you have less bestials, this becomes, of course, way harder.
Yeah, so it was a concession for mirror match and purely.
I mean, it makes sense. You do have the space, at least somewhat, and having those like really high impactful cards, I really like that. Speaking about that, second seal, as probably all of my viewers know, I'm a huge second seal believer. I probably wouldn't believe as much in this format just because the deck is little bit different. But did a second seal ever come up to you? And in hindsight, would you have liked a second seal?
At practice, I never needed the second one, and in play testing and in the tournament, I never needed the second one. Probably like if you get to a really grindy situation, you might
Mm,
need it, but I was just fine with one.
yeah.
And if I just need a second, like I remember like in round 4, I just recycle it with regain.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
So
with less Magna Modes and with always going for regain, the ability to recycle it probably comes up more. Let's take a look at the Synchro Tense because, of course, with less Bestials, these could come up less. Did you have like hard times getting into them, or were you like happy with all of them?
yeah, like uh, I would like to talk just a little bit about Unicorn before
Okay,
going to
okay, sure.
the yeah, because Unicorn, I would like to talk about Unicorn because it was the last card in my extra actually. Like Unicorn was the 15th card. It could have been the second seal, but I ultimately went for the Unicorn. And my reasoning for that is that like in the TCG, when you have more bestials, like I don't know, like a lot of times you just bestial your opponent and you start your turn with a bestial on field,
Mm,
so you have the threat to make a baron if you open with a rocket, or you have the threat to go for the spiral. I don't know, like you have some power plays.
mm,
But I found out that when I had a little amount of bestials in my main, when I was going second against some fields, and I went for dark lines, I felt like I just need a way to bait out my opponent negations or interruptions.
mm.
And without unicorn in my extra deck, I found out when I went for dark lines, I had to go for PC lines or just go for some weird things like crushing my dark and go for levy. So I found out in playtesting that I needed something to bait my opponent out when I went for dark lines. That's like the main reason I went for unicorn in the 15th spot.
That makes sense to me. So Unicorn was performing really well for you.
Yeah, I did. It did.
Okay.
Some games you just against the sort of play. I remember I dark his Bishuda, and I just went unicorn bait out his blackout, and I was prepared to play. Otherwise, the blackout would have destroyed me.
Yeah. Okay, no, that makes sense. And to be expected, like the lack of Bestial main deck names definitely hurts the deck a little bit, but it's definitely nothing compared to what the other decks have been hit on. Let's take a look at the side deck. We can see a huge lineup of floodgates and then some niche cards here and there. Just give me a thought process. How was it performing, and what decks or what weaknesses were you trying to cover with your side deck?
Okay. Like I told you, like we felt like the best three decks were going to be Labyrinth, Rika, and Dragon. So my thought process was to prepare against that. So the Gozen match, I felt like it was an auto win against Rika, and
Mhm.
I found out that even if Rika goes full combo, like the full combo with 15 interruptions, something like that, if you go second and you draw Gozen, you can just set the Gozen, pass turn, and they don't have any way to play around that. Like if you flip Gozen in turn 3, their board get destroyed. They don't have any way to negate Gozen. Like
Yeah.
they have to have a random Cosmic or something like that.
Yeah.
So I felt like it was a really good call for the event. And if I got paired with another decks like Mad Match, Branded, Vanquish Show, Swordsoul, Gozen was also an auto win. So I felt like it was a really good call. And like every time I had it, I won. So I think it was like the best
Yeah.
card on my side overall. The virus, like I was playing more hand traps. I test a lot of things, but I just want something that was a blowout against Labyrinth, and ultimately I thought that Eradicator was the best option. I like it was in my side to play against Labyrinth, but ultimately it helped me out against Dorsal in the stream. I don't know if you saw game two, like I Eradicator
Mhm.
him and he just scooped. And I also draw it in round 4 against Vanquisho. I virus his hand and he had 3 spells, so it was really
Okay,
good.
crazy.
So yeah, like when I was going first, I always say in the Gozen if it is good against that matchup, the virus and the cold. I wanted to play cold because I felt like worst format was going to be hand trap heavy format, and it really was. Like I don't know, for example, Poli was playing like 15 hand traps in his main deck, for example.
He was playing 15 hand
So
traps. Okay, crazy.
15 or 14, something like that. And so it was really good. And also playing against the mirror match, like if you end up in a bestial war or something like that, or if I nip his field and he end up with seal pass, I think drawing the call by Isabella
Yeah,
against
I
the
mean,
mirror
Coldplay
match in
against
that
Seal
situation.
is
So
it's crazy. We've all been there.
yeah, yeah. After that, I wanted to play 3 back row removal. I always have been a lightning storm enjoyer, but playing bestials, you just cannot play that because
Yeah.
if you draw it and you just drop a bestial, you just have a dead card. So ultimately, I went for cosmic, and I just like never put it in, but I think you just had to play some back row removal, and it was really good against Labyrinth.
Yeah. I mean,
I
that
like
was
oh yeah.
because of your matchups, right? You mostly played against like MathMag, like mid-range decks, not against Lab. So that's just variance. That just happens with especially like back row cards in the side deck.
Yeah, the Phantasme, I already told you that like the reasons behind it,
Mm.
and that ruler, it was like my bet for the mirror match. Like the best I was going for the mirror and like any random kind of deck that happened to
Also
play.
good against Rika, right? Like especially if you with Phantasme draw like 4 or 5 cards and then you just draw into like your Dark Rulers, your Nibiru's. Um,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah, it's a good Phantasme call. It's a good Phantasme draw, and also I thought that a lot of the OCG guys were going to play tier, and
Mm.
some of them did. So that ruler is really good against those Firmament full negation boards.
Yeah, it's crazy that you say that you sat this in against the mirror, but I guess that's just TCG luxury having like all of the bestials because like right now in the TCG I don't really put it in into the mirror, but I guess with less bestials you have less good cards in that matchup, and with all of them being forced to basically go for Borderland lines because seal control is just not good enough. I guess that makes sense. Like Dark Ruler's really good there.
Yeah, yeah, like it's pretty much respect for Borderland,
Mm.
to be honest.
So lastly, I think at least at the very beginning of Worlds format, a lot of people were hyping up Droll, and we talked about a bit again as well. Like, what was the reason for not picking up Droll? Because it seemed super strong in the format against Rika, but also against like random decks which could prey on the format, like Dark World. I think was it basically full power. What was the reason for not playing Droll?
Yeah, at first I was also at in the hype of playing role. I tested, but I had a good friend of mine that lives in Peru that he was playing Rika a lot of time. He have been playing Rika for a lot of time,
Mm,
and we test a lot, and I found out that Droll is not very good against Rika, and my reasoning for that is that when they open the Loki,
the
the
normal.
seed,
Mm,
the normal one, and they go link one, search the spell. If you draw there, like they already have 4 monsters on the field because with the spell they just can go for Jasmine lines. And they even had another 4 cards in hand.
yeah.
So at that point when you draw them, they already have 4 monsters of the field and 4 cards in hand. And I found out that like in that kind of situations they end up going for like 2 or 3 interruptions, and I end up losing the game because the roll was like a -1.
Yeah. Okay.
So after I realized that, I just felt like I just could not play draw, so I went for Neve instead.
And I think that makes sense. I also your matchups showed that it didn't really would have wouldn't have really performed good against anything apart from maybe I guess Dragon Link, but even there it can be a coin flip. A lot of times, if you draw them, and especially if they play Branded Beast still, they can still end on like Seal plus Branded Beast, and if you go -1 against that, it doesn't feel good. I think that's everything from my side. Do you have anything else you want to add about the list, like anything we didn't go over yet?
Yeah, I wasn't able to talk about the Synchro Tense, the
Oh
question
yeah.
you asked me. Yeah, and I didn't have any problems making them throughout the tournament. Like for example, when I go seal and in my opponent's turn and I brown Magna Mode, something I like to do a lot is to search for a tracer. So when I start my turn 3, like I have the threat of a Baron, and that just close the game. So like that kind of situations help me out to make the Synchro Tense. And a card that people is coding in the TCG, I don't understand why, because for me was MVP's Chaos Angel. Like
Yeah, definitely.
I love going for Chaos Angel because a lot of times when you, I don't know, like it was in the top 8 against Enzo. He was playing Magmech, and in turn 3 he went nuts. Like he went full combo, full matchmake combo. He set up the trap, he set up the link 5, he drew with Hitzel,
Mm.
and he drolled me. Actually, he drolled me in my turn, but I just resolved a bestial to stop his super factorial. And I had 2 options. I also had a safer in hand. I could try to play. I could have tried, like, I don't know, to make dark or make seal, but having the Chaos Angel just gave me an insta win because I just normal summon the safer, link away the Saronir and the safer for the Chaos Angel, sync them away, and the Chaos Angel just outed the Link 5 guy. And in that position, like the Chaos Angel is just a tower. Like,
Yeah.
for example, Mad Match doesn't have any out to the Chaos Angel at all.
Yes.
So I remember I passed just with Chaos Angel and some cards in hand because I got drawn, and he just like wasted everything he had to make like a big access code. He just attacked. He didn't remember that Chaos Angle couldn't be destroyed by battle, so he just passed again, and I just win.
Damn. Okay, that's
So
crazy.
in that kind of situation, yeah, I don't know. For baiting fields, I just love Chaos Angel,
Yeah, Cast Angel
and
is really good.
yeah,
I
I will always play it.
yeah, I started to enjoy it more. Like at Nats this year, I didn't make it once, I think, or only once, and it got judgmented there. But ever since then, I started to make this card way more often, and especially like going second in those weird times where you don't really have a play, or like you have a play, but it's like 100% it's not gonna go through, especially because against MathMech they play like 18 hand trips and they draw like 2 cards, so the likelihood of them having like 2 hand trips is so high. I think like having the ability to go for like this weird auto win sometimes and having the option in the extra deck is like really, really valuable for me as well. So I can see the reasoning, as even with like less bestials.
Yeah, it's like an emergency button.
Yeah.
It's so good.
So I think we are like done here. Do you have any final words or any shoutouts to give out?
Yeah, like I have a lot. Like the first one, of course, to you, because yeah, I don't know if people know you. You helped me a lot with the list. We talked a lot, and I don't know, like 1 month before Wars, we already came to the conclusion that this was going to be like a really good call for the event, and it ultimately ended up winning it. So I think we were correct. So the first shout out is to you, and thank you. The second one is to all the people that helped me out, like my team here in Medellin, Colombia, Team Fisteca, Marco, Pablo, Esteban, Trejo, all the guys that helped me out here in Medellin, all the guys from Colombia, the people outside Colombia that also helped me a lot with the list, and my family and my girlfriend. That's pretty much it.
Okay, perfect. I think that's it. Class is dismissed. You guys are free to leave. Professor Sunrise out. Peace.